Um,
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, I was like, what do I say? Hello, everyone, and we're back live with Miss Gwendolyn Mitchell, the CEO and founder of Moyo Institute and our meditation ambassador here at Cobus Richmond. I'm always excited to get to sit with you every single week, and I know we have a tradition now before we get started that we're going to do some breath work.
That's right. We're actually going to just start with taking 3 deep breaths. So, you've been with us, you know the drill.
Mm-hmm.
Sit with your feet flat on the floor, and if you're not driving, of course, with your eyes closed.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just breathe in to the count of 3. Hold it to the count of 3. And then when you exhale, let's make the sound of the B today. So again, on the exhale, again, hold, exhale. One more time. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Okay, so now let's just breathe in once through the nose and let it out through the mouth. And we're here.
Awesome.
Present, ready to go.
Absolutely. And for those of you who haven't done breath work with us, or this is your first time, why don't you go ahead and explain to them what breath work does while I pull up your website.
Okay, no worries. So actually the breathing is as our most essential gift from nature, I would say. And it is one way that we can control our emotions, by relying on the breath, getting stable in the breath. And also, it oxygenates the blood, and that, helps us be more aware in our thoughts and our thinking process. So it's a good practice. It also helps us to be present where we are right now and dropping all the things that we were doing just a moment before.
Absolutely, absolutely. And because of you, I've started meditating every morning now. So it's
Beautiful.
I use Deepak Chopra Guided Meditations. He has a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been very, very helpful
Beautiful.
to me every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So we have been talking about your blog post over the past couple of weeks, meditation and self-care, a radical life-affirming response to racism.
Yes.
And the first couple of things we discussed in terms of 9 steps to disrupt the health effects of systemic racism are: control what we let in, unraveling the messages of self-hatred, examine how you communicate, listen to cues from your body, and now we are on number 5, which is connect with nature.
Connect with nature.
Connect with nature. And so you've written here, do you exercise, walk, run, swim, garden? Do your bare feet ever touch the ground? Every cell of your body is powered by what is essentially a rechargeable battery called the adenosine triphosphate molecule, or ATP, produced by your mitochondria. It stores and transfers energy in the cells. The sun and the electromagnetic field of the earth function to electrically charge the cells in the body and support circulation. Being out in nature is good medicine. So there's a lot of science.
There's a little bit of science
bit of science there. So let's kind of break this down.
So let me just start by saying that we think of ourselves as separate from nature.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I would invite us to really consider is that we are, in fact, a part of nature. That nature, we can think of ourselves as sort of the neurons for the earth,
Mm-hmm.
essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And what's happened over time is that all of these wonderful things that we've adapted to in our culture, like tennis shoes with rubber soles and things like that, they really separate us from our direct contact with some of the benefits of being in nature. So I'd like to start by just saying that, like if we were in the earlier times when we were hunters, gatherers, and walking on the soil, you know, in our bare feet or close to it, we would be actually experiencing the support of the electromagnetic field in the earth, you know. And so right now, what happens when our heart beats, it provides a circulation to the major arteries and veins in the body. But the capillaries, the little tiny, you know, strings that you see in your hands or whatever, the capillaries are supported by the electromagnetic field of the earth. And so, you know, like being barefoot, walking on the ground barefoot is one good way to get that support.
Okay, so you know that whole concept of ashes to ashes, dust to dust, we are of the earth. So what ways, or well, I guess, in what ways, I know you've spoken a little bit about it, but what ways can we get in connection to the earth? Because it feels like we've been kind of, in a sense, displaced from our natural gravitation to what the earth provides for us.
Right.
So how does an individual get back in tune or in touch with that natural gravitation?
So, you know, one of the things that I encourage, and sometimes in our meditations we really focus on the earth and really recognizing the earth as our mother. I mean, literally, everything that we need is provided here on the earth and by the earth, you know. We think of the earth as like this solid ground, but in fact, the earth is a living being. It's a living, breathing organism, and it's feeding us, it's clothing us, it's housing us, you know. So all of these things we rely on nature for. So I encourage people to get out of the house and be in nature. I mean, if you're in the sun, the best times to do that is at sunrise and sunset. That's when the UV rays are the least damaging. But even during the day, if you can get 15 minutes of sunlight, if you're fair skinned, it can go up to 30 because we've got melanin. If in 20 or 25 minutes, if you're darker skinned, this is one way that the sun is actually nourishing us, and it's helping to produce vitamin D in our body, which also helps lower stress. So, you know, there's a connection between all of these things, and just going outside and, you know, take your sneakers off, take your shoes off, stand on the earth, you know, hug a tree.
Hug a tree.
Be in relationship with your mother. I mean,
absolutely. And one key thing I want to highlight is time frame, because we think, you know, we're Bay Areans, so Bay Areans hike. If you're from the Bay or part of the Bay in any capacity, you know we do a hike. That is a social activity. But hikes in the Bay can range from an hour to 3, 4, 5 if you're really out there, right? So one thing that you said is like 15 to 20 minutes. That's literally a 10-minute break from work. Your 10-minute break that you're given instead of sitting at your desk.
Yes.
Go outside and sit. We've got park benches in front of COVIDs, but you can sit on the park bench and just absorb the sun, and that can energize you for the duration or the time that you're there. So what is your favorite?
Well, there are a couple of things.
Okay.
I like the early morning. I like the early morning connection with the sun, because that really is nourishing us on so many different levels in our bodies. And I like forest bathing. You know, so
what is forest bathing?
Forest bathing is like going for a walk anywhere there's trees, you know, like in the woods or in a park, or if there are trees in your neighborhood, to just be in that environment. One of the things that I used to find very, very helpful was if I was ever feeling a little bit low mood-wise, I would go to a nursery and just walk amongst the flowers, and they really, you know, just send off all of this energy that really helps to lift our spirits. So it doesn't have to be something far away. If you have a garden, you already know this. You know that when you're out there working in your garden, or even sitting in your garden, how much more restored you feel physically and emotionally.
That's dope. I went to my first conservatory in Chicago, and I was like, wow, I've never seen. When I didn't know monsters can get that big. They're literally monsters. They're like bigger than me. Yes. And it's like you walk up on it, it's like, wait, it's getting bigger. And in that environment, it's probably the most relaxed I've been all year. It's just trees and plants, and they had the water running, and there's different environments. There was like a tropical environment, a desert environment. They had a fruit environment, so every tree or plant in that area bared fruit. And I was able to see bananas growing. It was crazy. But you said, so forest bathing is one. What other, outside of your favorite, what other ways can one connect with nature?
Well, one can go to the beach, you know, like being near the water, being near a lake. That's all very nourishing for us. The water is like awesome. I mean, some people say the water was the first being that was created in the universe, basically. And so we are like, 90-something% water in our bodies, and just connecting with water, being around the water. This morning as I was showering, I was thanking the water.
As you should. No,
just because it's such an important part of our existence. So, I mean, when you do these things, like for instance, forest bathing, you don't have to be hiking. You don't have to be having an intention. It's actually better to go there with the idea of leaving your cell phones where you are, or if you have it with you for emergencies or whatever, have it turned off or on silence, and just wander around and take in the forest or the park with your senses. How it smells, right? The eucalyptus, the redwoods, whatever, how it smells, and take it in how it looks, and allow your attention to sort of guide you. And this is one way to really get out of our locked down, stressful selves into an environment where we can be nourished, actually doing nothing but simply being there.
Right. And for people who may not, and I just thought of this while you were talking, for people who may not have access to trees, which I never really noticed that until my work here at COVID, is how even nature in some ways is systemically used in population. Plants in the home.
Yes, for sure. In fact, there are several plants that are really key to keeping the level of toxicity down in the environment. You know, the Chinese evergreen plant, for instance, philodendrons. There are a lot of plants that you want to have in your house because they will help absorb any toxic energy that's in your house. And so I always encourage everyone to have live plants. We're talking about live plants.
Yeah, not plastic plants. No, they do absolutely nothing. But
well, they might provide a little decor.
Yeah, aesthetic. They have an aesthetic. But yes, live plants. And there are tons of nurseries and places you can go in the Bay Area. My favorite shameless plug is the Black Girls Greenhouse. It's actually a greenhouse in Oakland run by Black women, as the name
beautiful
would say. And it's just the environment in of itself is healing when you go in there, and I highly encourage anybody to go and have the experience. And even with your meditations, because they are outside, you have the opportunity to use a drive-up meditation. So you have the opportunity to roll your windows down, let the air swoop through your car as you're in tune with the sound of Gwendolyn's voice. It's definitely an amazing experience. Or even yoga. We did yoga this past weekend on the roof through COVID, and her music and the wind and the sun. It was like, when I was done, I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is so dope, right? So there are plenty of ways to be able to connect self to nature.
You know, and I was just thinking, you know, we have Urban Tilth here in Richmond.
Yes, we do.
And they do organic gardening, and they're always looking for volunteers to come out and help work in the garden. And that's another way of really being in nature and getting your hands in the soil,
but then also giving back to
giving back to the community.
Right.
So that's another way.
Expressing gratitude through that work. Awesome. Anything else that you want to say about?
Well, just that, like this whole idea of allowing ourselves to be nurtured by nature is so important, because in our community we have things like diabetes and poor circulation, and if you can get out there and move a little bit and get the support of the electromagnetic field of the earth, it can help with the circulation. I also have read that because we have melanin in our skin, we don't absorb vitamin D as much as other people. And so if you're in a place, we have so many microclimates in the Bay Area, if you're in a place that doesn't get a lot of sun, make it a point to go somewhere where you can get more sun.
Right.
So that you can be nourished that way.
Vitamin D deficiencies run rampant in Black communities. I was diagnosed as vitamin D deficient, but now I go hike every Sunday, so those numbers have turned right around. Or I make sure I go and take a break and sit outside and get my sun. So definitely for not only your mental and emotional and spiritual health, but also your physical health is impacted by how often you step into the sun longer than 5 seconds.
And if you're going to be out on a hike, make sure you use sunscreen and things like that, so you protect your skin as well.
Absolutely, especially the trails in Richmond, there are no trees. So it's all sun, it's directly on you. Make sure you protect your body as well. And as always, it's a pleasure having you sitting alongside me. You guys can check out Miss Gwendolyn's article on her website. That's Moyo Institute, MOYO Institute.org. Yep. Okay, .org. Not only is Miss Gwendolyn very proficient and a master in what she does as a meditation expert, but she's also a Reiki instructor, a Reiki teacher. Master. Thank you. Jesus. A Reiki master.
You got Reiki right.
Yeah, I got Reiki right. It's what, 4 weeks? I finally said it right.
It's good.
She is a Reiki master. There's just so much to what you do in terms of healing self and healing community that you guys need to be tapped into. And then, of course, she has meditation every Thursday night at 7:15 p.m. on the roof of, technically it's the bar roof, but the roof of Cobus Richmond. And we look forward to having you back here next Tuesday to discuss part 6 of your blog post, which will be aligning your sleep pattern with nature.
Yes.
Oh Lord, I feel like I'm gonna get torn asunder.
This is a lesson for all of us. For me too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm like, whoo. Okay. Well, I am looking forward to that conversation next week. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and sticking around, and we'll holler at you next time.
I appreciate you, Christine, and I appreciate Cobus.
I appreciate you as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. See you guys.
Bye.